Jesus and the Path to Enlightenment, continuing our insights on a daily basis. You must be born from above. You must be born from above. So what is this all about? This teaching is about death and resurrection. To renew yourself, die to the old every day. To renew yourself, die to the old every day. Let me read a little bit and then I'll comment, okay? Jesus spoke about death as a prelude to resurrection, and he also spoke about the need to be born again. The connection between the two was summed up by Paul, St. Paul, as dying unto death. Christian doctrine has focused almost entirely on trusting in the resurrection of Jesus as a sign that every soul will be resurrected one day. But you see, death and resurrection go together. Death makes life possible. Death and resurrection are happening every moment. At the quantum level, photons are born, virtual particles, they die. Your body cells undergo a process called apoptosis, programmed cellular death. So your body can remain fresh, cells can remain fresh. Death and resurrection go together. Death makes life possible. But let's continue in a little bit of the Christian interpretation. And so I will focus here a little bit on what I think Jesus is saying here. He is saying, you must be born from above. He's putting the transformation on this lifetime. He's putting the emphasis on transformation in this lifetime, not some distant future. Being born from above means a rebirth in spirit. For me, the best way to imagine such an event isn't by accepting Jesus as a personal Lord or Savior, although fundamentalists constantly demand that. Spiritual rebirth usually isn't a single event, a blinding epiphany that causes one's life to change from that moment onward. Some individuals may be able to recognize their spiritual life around one dramatic breakthrough, but for most, spiritual rebirth is a process akin to the long process that causes people to mature psychologically. The spiritual process brings transformation steadily, one step at a time, yet the overall result is dramatic. One's attachment to the ego and its belief in separation, including the ultimate separation of death, is being jettisoned. So let's try this exercise. If being born again is a process, you can contribute to it every day. In fact, this is the only viable way to creatively shape the spiritual path so that it belongs to you personally. Right now, you accept a fixed set of labels that define you. These include your name, your age, your family, your occupation, and social status. From Jesus's perspective, however, none of these labels is the true you. They distract from the reality that you are spirit embodied in flesh. If you wanted to, you could redefine yourself every day. As the fixed self gives way to a dynamic, fluid self that is open to the unknown, freedom dawns. In that freedom, you go beyond death by discovering that you encompass life and death in a state of pure being. Now let's translate this into practical applications. Write down the most basic labels that apply to you: your name, your age, gender, education level, and occupation. Taking one at a time, consider how much each label defines you. For example, your name specifies the identity of a person with a certain family background. It locates you in time and space. It isolates you from others, and it becomes part of your self-image. You're attached to varying degrees, to all these threads of identity. Now consider whether these connections must apply. Do you feel a need to conform to family traditions and expectations? Is it important to you that your name earns recognition? As you ask such basic questions, you can begin to free yourself from the threads of attachment that keep you from being born from above. Now you can take steps to redefine yourself. If you stop yourself in a certain way, or if you spot yourself thinking in a certain way, it is because it might have been appropriate to your age, education level, gender, social status. Ask yourself, is there another way to think? If you open yourself, you will be amazed how thoroughly you have been defined by rigid beliefs and outdated conditioning. These external influences aren't the real you. And until you go through the process of detaching yourself from old definitions, you cannot confront the unknown. And the unknown is the field of infinite possibilities. Everything new that comes your way winds up passing usually through a filtering process until it fits your likes and dislikes, your social status, your income, your education level, on and on. Spiritual experience is unfiltered. It comes directly and spontaneously. The best way to prepare yourself to encounter spirit is to learn to be willing to let go of the past and be willing to redefine yourself every day. You must be born from above. More later. Death and resurrection go together.